I'm talking to Jim Cornette here on the Steve Austin Show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And I just wanted to shoot the shit a little bit with Jim. And I'm going to tell Stacy to leave his shit in the show. God dang, Jim, this is the Unleashed show. Everything flies on this show.
What's that? Let me say this. We not only we did a 2-hour podcast and the technical problems came up, and we've had 2 or 3 hour plus phone calls in the last couple of weeks that would have made good podcasts if we recorded them. So now we're recording this, and hopefully everything's going to work. And this will probably suck. It will probably be boring. So
no. This ain't going to be boring because I just want to start off with. Oh no, let's go back to the other show because man, we talked for 2 hours and there's some good shit in there. And when I got that thing back, and my gal sent me an email that I can only hear the parts of Jim Cornette. You were not on the show. And what had happened was Skype was stopped supporting third-party recorders or whatever, the one that I was using. And so it didn't record nothing that I said. It recorded shit you said. It didn't record a goddamn thing I said. I mean, so you would think that it would at least recorded me and not you, but it was vice versa. And it don't make a fuck anyway because half of a conversation was half of a conversation.
Yeah.
And my gal said, well, I can go in there if you can go in there and kind of, just re-ask your questions on your recorder, and I can double them in because my gal is just the best in the world at splicing stuff together and making chicken salad out of chicken shit, which is what she does with every single one of my shows. But it just wouldn't have had the same feel to it because of the way we talk.
Right. It wouldn't have had the flow. And the thing is that you called me a couple of days afterwards, and the first thing I said was, "How you doing, Steve?" And you said, "Well, I'm pretty fucking shitty." And I was like, "Uh-oh." And I actually said as a joke, I said, "Don't tell me the show got erased." And you said, "Well, half of it did."
God, yeah. Well, someone told me I was telling someone what happened. They said, "Well, hell, man, just Cornette's half of a conversation would have made a great podcast." I said, "Well, I was like, well, you know what? You probably have a point there. I should have just spliced all his shit together and just let it fly."
Well, it would have been less work, but hey, it gives us an excuse to talk again for however long about a bunch of old wrestling and tell bullshit stories and potentially, what was the James Garner line in the movie Sunset? It's all true, give or take a lie or two.
Give or take a lie or two. Hey, man, before we get cranked up just shooting the shit, and that's all this, we're going to call this motherfucker in the ring, Jim. I don't have any notes in front of me. I have my laptop computer in my lap, and I've got the books that you sent me right in front of me, and I've been glancing through those. But I wanted to at least just first, let's talk about the Jim Cornette Experience, your podcast. What the fuck's going on?
Well, actually, we've been doing it, I guess, for about 6 or 7 weeks now. It's on MLW Radio, and you can go to MLW.com. Court Bauer, who has run his own promotion, Major League Wrestling, and also spent some time working for the Evil Empire, writing for Vince McMahon. He had me as a guest on one of his podcasts that with Conan. A couple of months ago and got great feedback on it and called me and asked me, said, "Hey, would you like to do a podcast?" And people have been asking if I would do it. And I'm just so technically illiterate, that I hadn't done it up till now. But I said to Court, as I always tell everybody, if you'll do all the work, I'll take all the credit. So we've started that, and it goes up every Thursday morning, and it's available for a week on MLW.com, the Jim Cornette Experience. And we talk about a little of everything. We talk a lot of old wrestling. We talk about bullshit. I've actually just successfully waged a campaign to get Seth MacFarlane to realize the error of his ways and bring Brian Griffin back to Family Guy. And sure enough, for the Christmas episode, there it was. So the Cult of Cornette, all my followers on Twitter at the Jim Cornette, and the people that listen to my podcast, the Jim Cornette Experience, I marshaled those forces, Steve, the combined power of all my millions and millions of followers brought finally Brian Griffin has come back to Family Guy. And so that's just an example of the public service that I perform every week on MLW.com on the Jim Cornette Experience.
As original, as one and only and as original as you are, that sounded a little bit plagiarized.
Well, here's the thing. I've always said when you steal from one person, it's plagiarism. When you steal from many, it's research. And what I do is I just steal everybody's shit. I told Jerry Lawler one time, I said, "I've made more money with your material in the wrestling business than you have." And I think he liked it. I'm not sure.
Hey, man, so when you go to talk to your cats, I mean, how much kind of research time are you putting into all this?
Well, I jot down things. I'm an obsessive note taker. Because I got the OCD, and it comes from years of being in the wrestling business, keeping track of my bookings, keeping track of my finishes, years of booking. I write everything down. So I jot things down that strike me funny or maybe not funny, maybe serious, but I jot things down and I retain things. And I'm like Michael Hayes also. I steal a lot of lines for promos from popular music. Why not? But, I try to approach it as seriously as possible because we want to give the people a good show. But at the same time, a lot of it's just like what we're doing, calling it in the ring. Because when you're talking to somebody that is kind of a naturally entertaining motherfucker like you are, you don't need to sit there and put words in people's mouth. And we've talked about it before. Nobody heard it, but we talked about it.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes these days wrestling seems to be homogenized and sanitized and pasteurized for your protection, sort of like that paper wrapper on the Super 8 toilet seat. Where it's not really the guy's true personality shining through, and we always encourage that. So a lot of it's just, hey, what comes up, and
You try to keep your shows about an hour length.
Yeah. Also, you don't have to spend your life, on this. I mean, sometimes podcasts go for quantity instead of quality, and we do about an hour each week, and then there's VIP content you can sign up for if you just can't get enough of us. But yeah, we try to keep it, get in, get out, and keep it moving. And that's a good wrestling match. And hey, that's a good podcast. That's almost everything in life, including sex. Get in and get out, and don't let it get dragged.
You're a creative wonder, and you like doing this kind of shit. So, are you enjoying the podcast endeavor? Is it more time intensive than you thought it would be, or it just goes with the territory?